Everyone, so today in this video we'll try to solve CTET question paper of 2019. This is July 2019 question paper, and we'll try to solve the CDP portion of this question paper. Let us see the questions. First one is, according to Joe Piaget, children actively construct knowledge as they manipulate and explore world, then learn by observing others following a process of observational learning, then can be conditioned to behave particular ways by carefully controlled stimulus response associations, can be taught to behave and learn in specific manner using principles of reward and punishment. So from these options we can clearly see this is classical conditioning, reward and punishment this is operant conditioning. So these two questions get cancelled. This is observational learning, this is not the correct option. So Joe Piaget said about the construction of knowledge, which was radical constructivism and personal constructivism. This is the correct option, because Joe Piaget said that children construct their own knowledge in response to their experiences. That is what Joe Piaget said. He believed that children take an active role in the learning process. And he also said that he uses the term little scientists for the children. So they perform experiments, they make observations, this type of thing the children do. That is what Joe Piaget said about children in his theory of personal constructivism or cognitive constructivism. Okay, then question number 2. There are individual variations in the rate of motor development, yet the sequence of motor development is from dash to dash. So individual variations are there in the developmental process, we all know that, but still a principle is followed, and this principle is followed by all. What is that principle? Cephalocaudal proximodistal cephalocaudal. So these two are separate things, since the question is from dash to dash, so we can put these two options. Then gross motor to fine motor and fine motor to gross motor. So we all know that development starts from gross motor development, then goes to fine motor development, because children do something using the whole body first, and then they do by fine using fine motor skill, that is using hands, fingers, this type of thing that they learn later. Then question number 3, the period that initiates transition to adulthood is, so what comes just before adulthood? It is adolescence. So adolescence is the period that comes just before adulthood, which initiate the adulthood actually, because adolescence is a phase of life which accelerates from being a child to adult. It is a transition phase. Okay, then question number 4. So this question has come from Hens theory, that is Kohlberg experiment. A child argues that Hens should not steal the drug because he will be caught and sent to jail if he does so, according to Kohlberg. Which stage of moral development? So this stage is the thing, a student is thinking like, if he steal the drug then it is very bad thing, he will be sent to jail like this, so he should not steal the drug. So what type of moral development is this? So we can clearly see this is punishment and obedience orientation. Punishment and obedience orientation is this type of moral development, because he is the child is thinking that if Hens steal this that drug, it is bad thing, he will be sent to jail, this type of thinking, this type of morality. So this is obedience and punishment orientation. Then question number 5, Lev Vygotsky referred to the Bible dialogues that children have with themselves. What is that verbal dialogue that a child speak with himself or herself? Is it egocentric speech, private speech, distorted speech, and problematic speech? Look, distorted speech and problematic speech, these two options get automatically cancelled, because there is no such type of speech in told by Vygotsky. Vygotsky told about 3 speeches: social speech, private speech, and silent inner speech. So this is private speech, a child is talking to himself. Egocentric speech comes under Joe Piaget. Then see the question number 6. Associating toys, articles of clothing, household items, occupations, and colors with specific sex is a demonstration of what? So with a specific sex, that is biological sex, male or female, you are associating toys, associating clothing styles, dress styles, items, occupations. So what you are doing, you are saying that boys should play with this type of toy, girls should play with that type of toy, then girls should not wear this, boys should not wear that. This type of thing is what? It is a type of gender stereotyping. Remember this, because you are prejudice, you are doing a prejudice that boys should not do this, girls should not do that, based on their sex you are telling that. So it is a gender prejudice, or we can say gender stereotyping. Let us see other options as well. Evolved gender identity, no. No connection with gender identity. Gender theory, no. Gender relevance. Actually the word is gender stereotyping. This is very much clear from the question here. And then question number 7, in an elementary classroom it is important to dash the experiences that a child brings with her. So in the elementary classroom, what you should do with the experience the child brings with her? Will you deny those experiences? Will you neglect those experiences? Will you ignore those experiences? You can't do all these three. We should build on that. We should build on the experience that a little girl taking with her from our house and coming to school. We should build on that. We should build. We should add on that. That is what we do in the elementary classrooms. And then question number 8, a teacher should what? Maximize comparisons among students. Comparing to students. Should he do that? Should he maximize that? No, he should not do that. Then promote students belonging to certain cultures, very bad thing. You are promoting specific students belonging to some particular culture. You can't do that. You should not do that. Ignore cultural difference and diversity among students. You can't ignore that. Cultural differences and diversity, you should talk on that. You should accept that. This type of thing you should do. And last one is communicate that she respects and values all cultures in the classroom. This is the correct option, because a teacher should communicate that she respects and values all cultures in the classroom. He should appreciate and accommodate similarities and differences among students, because effective teachers of culturally diverse students, they do what? They acknowledge both individual and cultural differences, and that too enthusiastically. They identify the differences in a positive manner. Okay, then question number 9, which of the following constructs does Right to Education Act 2009 advocate? Right to Education Act 2009, according to this, which of the following constructs is done by this act? Integrated, inclusive, segregation, mainstreaming. We all know that RTE advocates inclusive education. Integrated, segregation, mainstreaming, these type of things used to do in the past. Okay, so question number 10, dash is the philosophy that all children have a right to get equal education in a regular classroom. According to which philosophy? According to inclusion, not mainstreaming, not special education, not multicultural education. The name given is inclusive education, inclusion. And let us see question number 11. Which of the following represents the correct matching of children in column A with the primary characteristic in column B? Look, you have to match these. First one was gifted, then learning disabled, then creative, then attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, that is ADHD. So in right side, lacks reading fluency, can think of original solutions, tendency to get distracted easily, ability to learn quickly and independently. So if you look very carefully, the gifted children are those who can learn very quickly and independently. Then learning disabled, we all know that it is one who is learning disabled in learning, he lacks the reading fluency. Then a children who is creative, he can think of original solutions, he can think of innovative solutions. And attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the type of disorder which causes very much inattention and hyperactivity. So we can relate to point C, tendency to get distracted easily. So our arrangement should be like, which is 1D, 2A, 3B and 4C, option 2. Then let us go to question number 12. Children learn effectively when children learn effectively. The teacher fully controls everything that happens in the class, including the children. They memorize facts given in the textbook. They copy answers written by the teacher on the blackboard. They actively participate in defined activities and tasks. So, if the teacher fully controls everything, that is teacher-centric classroom, then learning of children is not a suitable thing. Is not maximized. Then, if they are emphasized only on memorizing, then also their learning get distracted, not effective. Then copying answers on from the blackboard is also not a good technique. But if they participate actively in different activities and tasks, then only they can learn effectively. So question option 4 is the correct option. Question number 13. Children should dash questions in the class. What the children should do about the questions in a class? Should they be encouraged to ask or discouraged to ask, not be allowed to ask, be stopped from asking? So this is very much straightforward question. They should be encouraged to ask the questions inside the class. Then question number 14. Which of the following is not a key process through which meaningful learning occurs? Look, emphasize on the word not, which is not a way of meaningful learning. Memorization and recall, you can say it is not a meaningful. Okay, let us check the other options. Repetition and practice, it is a meaningful technique. Instruction and direction is a good technique. Then exploration and interaction is very much needed in child-centered learning. So these three are meaningful techniques of learning, but memorization and recall is not always meaningful. Option 1. Then let us check question number 15. When teachers have positive beliefs about students and their abilities, the students, if the teachers having possessing positive beliefs about students, then students, what happens to students? They are eager and motivated to learn. Yes. They become relaxed and stop putting any efforts to learn. No. They become demotivated. Why should they be demotivated? Because teachers having a positive belief on them and not affected in any way. They are affected. They are actually motivated and eager to learn. Then question number 16. Children's errors. What does children errors show us? Reflect how careless the children, we can't say in this way, should be immediately corrected by asking them to do repeated practice. It can be right option. Are a part of learning and given insight into their thinking. Yes, this is the most appropriate. Children errors are a part of learning and it gives us an insight at how they are thinking. If they are doing any mistakes in their thought process, we can correct them. Are insignificant, that is no, it is very much significant. So question option 3 is the correct option for question number 16. Question number 17. Assessment should be undertaken as a separate activity, should be a part of teaching learning process, should be done only in terms of marks, should be based on objective type written tests. So one thing is clear, assessment is a part, or you can say should be a part of teaching learning process. And assessment is what? Assessment for learning is an approach to teaching and learning that creates feedback which is then used to improve student performance, to modify teachers existing teaching learning methods. He can improve them, and students become more involved in the learning process. And this do what? From this they gain confidence, what they're expected to learn. So this is what assessment is. So out of these 4 options, it is not a separate activity. You can't say this is a separate activity. Should be a part of teaching learning process. Should be done only in terms of marks. No. Should be based on objective type written ask. Assessment can also be oral. So option 2 is the correct option. Then question number 18. In a constructivist frame, learning is what? Active and social in its character, or passive and individualistic, the process of acquisition of knowledge, a change in behavior as a result of experience. So what was constructivist learning? We all know that in a constructivist frame, learning is active and social in character. Why? Because in this frame, knowledge is constructed by the learner as they reconcile new information with past experience, and they analyze various source materials, work collaboratively with other. So collaborative work and constructing new knowledge. So this comes under what? Social and active. We can say social and active in character. Then question number 19, what principle does the following highlight? Students do not perform well, feel that they are not good enough, and feel demotivated. They are then likely to give up easily without trying on persisting doing tasks. So students are trying but failing, and which is making them demotivated. Then they are giving up the work. What is this? Cognition and emotions are not separable. Does this mean that cognitions and emotions are not related? Heredity and environment are not separable, and another, heredity and environment are not related. So this is about cognition and emotion. Nothing, no role to play about heredity and environment, because one is trying something and then failing and then giving up this. So this means what? Their cognitions and emotions are separable. Okay. Then question number 20, a teacher can encourage children to become effective problem solver. How a teacher can make the students effective problem solver? By what process? Writing step by step solution to all the questions in the textbook? No. Because if you write step by step, then how can the students become problem solver? Giving them plenty of opportunities to answer similar kinds of questions from the textbook. Will you do that? No, he will not do that, because if the teacher gives a similar type of problems, then the students will not learn any new thing. Emphasizing on rote memorization, never. Emphasizing on rote memorization, how can he solve a new problem? Answer, most appropriate option will be this: encouraging children to make intuitive guesses. What will that do? Because as a teacher, it is helpful to observe those moments when children have problems and help them think about ways. Yeah, as a teacher, you are to help them in thinking process. Thinking about what? Thinking about ways to solve their own problems. They have to anticipate problems before they can identify the solutions. This is what intuitive thinking. This will develop the problem solving ability. Then question number 21, use of methods where learners own initiative and efforts. Learners own initiative and efforts are involved is an example of. What will be that? Use of methods where learners own initiative, his own initiative and efforts are involved is an example of learner centered method. Okay, because in a learner centered approach, or we can say in a learner centered method, it starts from the belief that the learner is the center of learning process. His own initiative and efforts are given preference. Then question number 22, which of the following statements about intelligence is correct? Intelligence is the ability to think convergently, not convergently. Intelligence is divergent thinking, remember. Intelligence is a relatively permanent change in behavior as a result of experience. This is learning. This is the definition of learning, not intelligence. Intelligence is hereditary trait that involves mental activities and such as memory and reasoning. No, this is not hereditary trait, and this does not it does not have anything to play with memory and reasoning. Intelligence is a separate thing. Intelligence is a multidimensional. Yes, intelligence is multidimensional, involving several abilities, not entirely measurable by intelligence test. This is perfect definition of intelligence. Intelligence is multidimensional. So many things come when we measure the intelligence of a person. Then question number 23. Which of the following is the primary socializing agency? The answer is very much straightforward. Family is the primary socializing agency. School, government, media, all are secondary. Then question number 24. The major proposition of Joe Piaget's theory is that children thinking is inferior to adults, children thinking is superior to adults, children's thinking is quantitatively different from adults, children's thinking is qualitatively different from adults. Remember one thing. In Joe Piaget's theory, or before Piaget's those works with children's cognitive development, the common assumption in psychology was that children are merely less competent thinkers than adults. But Piaget showed what? Piaget showed that young children think strikingly different ways, think in a strikingly different ways compared to adults. It proposes, which he proposed later on, discrete stages of development marked by qualitative various qualitative differences rather than a gradual increase in number. So children's thinking is qualitatively different from adults. This will be the correct option. Then gender is an. This is very much straightforward question. It is directly written in your syllabus. Gender as a social construct. So gender as a social construct. Gender is what? A social construct, because it refers to the socially constructed characteristics of men or women. Because it refers what? It is different from sex. Sex means biological characteristics, but gender is what? Norms, rules, relationships between groups of men and women, and it varies from society to society. It is dynamic thing, so it is social construct. Then question number 26. Which of the following correctly identifies the broad domains of development? Broad domains of development. Look, development, when we think of it as a broad domain, so physical is narrower domain, because physical development in the of an individual is within the individual itself. Cognitive is so. Social is broad domain. Emotional also. Emotional is again narrower domain. But let us check out the options where all the options are of broad domain. Look, here is intellectual. Intellectual is narrower domain. Spiritual is also narrower domain. And then physical, personality is a broader domain. So I think this will be the option where social, physical, personality and self, this type of options are given. So this is the broader domain of development. Question number 27. Which let us check again. Which of the following statements regarding children and their learning is correct? All children are naturally motivated to learn and are capable of learning. First option. Second option is children's motivation to learn and their capability to learn is predetermined by heredity only. No. Learning have the effect of both heredity and environment. All children naturally are motivated to learn, it can be said. Okay, let us check the other options. Children's socio-economic background determines the limits and motivation. No, never. Economic background, social background of a children has nothing to do with his learning ability. Children have to be rewarded and punished to make them motivated for learning. I think this is the correct option, because in the process of learning, irrespective of what caste and social structure the children belongs to, if he rewarded and punished, means if he is reinforced correctly, then this will motivate him or her for learning. Then question number 28. In a progressive education, children are seen as what? Progressive education that was given by John Dewey, where is a pragmatic philosophy, where children are seen as a active explorer. Remember, because progressive education philosophy says that educators should teach children how to think rather than relying on rote memorization. Okay, so blank slates, no blank slates. This was very ancient concept. Not passive imitators, not miniature adults. Active explorer. They are active explorer. Children are active explorer. 29. According to Lev Vygotsky, learning is a social activity. We know social constructivism of Lev Vygotsky. What he said, learning cannot be separated from a social context. Social interaction plays a fundamental role in the process of cognitive development. Then the last question number 30. Which of the following characterizes a child in the pre-operational stage? So, characteristics of pre-operational stage. Circular reactions, this was in sensory motor stage. Goal directed behavior, deferred imitation, irreversibility of thought. This is the most correct option. Irreversibility is the most important characteristics of pre-operational stage according to Joe Piaget.